Here's our rendition of The Wall from start to finish. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to our Gold Star families, our veterans, our contractors who made this all happen, our elected officials that are here, some past and present, that we never forget in our city, and most of all, to friends of the Vietnam veteran. My name is Linda Pereira, and I have the distinct honor of emceeing today's dedication. I hope you enjoy the Vietnam tribute. We have our honor guard that will consist of military and veteran organizations led by the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 207, and our first responders led by the Fall River Police Department. Present colors. Emceeing today's dedication. I hope you enjoy the Vietnam tribute. We have our honor guard that will consist of military and veteran organizations led by the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 207, and our first responders led by the Fall River Police Department. Present colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The national anthem you just heard was sung a cappella by the McCann brothers. They did a phenomenal job. And with the distinction of raising our flag belongs to decorated Gunnery Sergeant Theodore Banks, a decorated Vietnam and Cold War veteran, along with Fall Rivers Flag Officer Victor Faria. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to a highly decorated Vietnam veteran, Sergeant Major Harry Therian, United States Marine Corps retired, and he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please, everyone, join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You may all be seated. We have the invocation by Father Phil Stolas.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, God of all creation and author of life, we stand here before this powerful symbol of bravery, grit, and courage. Herewith inscribed are the names of over 58,320 men, plus 8 brave women who were all killed in action during the war in Vietnam. 1,245 on this date are still unaccounted for as prisoners of war or missing in action, not to mention those whose names are not on the wall behind us, but came home severely maimed and disabled for life, or those who have died since the end of the war as a direct result of their injuries, whether physical or psychological. For them, we remember and we pray. The Gospel of St. John, chapter 15, verse 13 says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." Dear God, pour forth your divine blessing on this wall of tears shed for each man and woman who are forever inscribed on this wall. May they always be a testament of what America is all about, the land of the brave and the home of the free. And may you continue to grant each one eternal rest unto you, and let perpetual light shine upon them, both now and for all eternity, forever and ever. And we all said, Amen. Dear God, pour forth your divine blessing on this wall of tears, shed for each
Retire colors.
who are forever inscribed on this wall. May they always be a testament of what America is all about, the land of the brave and the home of the free. And may you continue to grant each one eternal rest unto you.
And I will say, if you notice, all of the flags from our veterans groups were held by veterans. And unfortunately, we're not as young as we would like to be. So I give them kudos for the love that they have for veterans to participate and do this. Thank you all. You may have a seat if you have one. I'm so sorry. I wish the pandemic wasn't here, but there are masks available, hand sanitizer. My husband went and bought me this today so everybody knows I'm vaccinated. That's why I've been married for 47 years to that man. But now, he is. But now it is my pleasure to introduce you the Honorable Mayor of the great city of Fall River, Mayor Paul E. Coogan.
Well, it doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't. The committee ordered up the weather, and they got exactly what they dialed up. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here today to celebrate the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall dedication. This has been a long time in the making, and it feels very special to be challenged by the pandemic and still everyone being here today. Many people have worked hard to make this day possible. From the earliest versions of the wall in October of 17 until this opening ceremony today, the installation of the wall has been a labor of love. And I would like to personally thank the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall Committee for their tireless work on this project. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall symbolizes Fall River's dedication to all of our soldiers who sacrificed for our country. It is an honor to recognize the Vietnam veterans, particularly today, a group who have at times been tragically overlooked. I am humbled to lead a city where a commitment to our veterans shines through in all that we do. It is woven into our identity as a community, even if we do not realize it. We are currently less than a mile from the Braga Bridge, one of Fall River's most iconic symbols, which was named for the son of a Fall Riverite who was killed at the attack on Pearl Harbor. When residents travel across that bridge and look down at our waterfront, bookended by Battleship Cove and Bicentennial Park, they are looking down on a very, very proud display of honor to our veterans. With the opening of this wall, we have created a space that symbolizes the strength of our soldiers and our veterans. This park and this wall symbolize the massive loss and sacrifice that many men, women, and their families experienced so that we can all be here today. With the wall now in place, Bicentennial Park will continue to draw visitors from far and wide. Visitors who want to pay respect to our armed forces, who want to come and remember a loved one, who want to learn about our history and our freedom. This wall is not only a testament to our love for our veteran, but an asset to our community. From school field trips to out-of-town visitors, this wall will bring with it new interest and enthusiasm in our city. Coupled with Battleship Cove and all of our new developments along the waterfront, the Vietnam Wall anchors our growing waterfront and will forever serve as a fantastic introduction to Fall River for all of our visitors who stop here. I am particularly proud to be standing here together today with all of you as we reconnect after a long period of time apart. This day is a day of celebration as we welcome this new addition to our city, to our waterfront, and to Bicentennial Park. However, let us all remember that we would not be here today to celebrate without the sacrifice of those written on the wall behind me and all their fallen brothers and sisters who gave their lives to make this country what it is today. Thank you, and God bless America.
The next speaker is the person whose idea it was to bring this beautiful wall to Fall River. He himself, a Navy CB veteran, Fall River's own Veteran Service Officer, Ray Haig, for some brief remarks.
Thank you, Linda. Yes, CB, one word, right. Took me a while to learn it, but they beat it into me. So, good day, everyone. I am honored to speak at this ceremony today, a ceremony to honor the men and women who sacrificed their lives fighting in a far-off country during a turbulent decade in our country's history. The wall we dedicate today comes many years since the last U.S. military left Vietnam, and it shows we will never forget. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is to remember those that have given their lives for freedom. And I would like to thank those that are serving, those that have served, and those that will serve in the United States Armed Forces. Thank you.
And just to say, there's somebody in Boston, in the state, that handles all of veteran affairs. And our committee worked diligently with Francisco Uranus, who is incredible, and now we're having a wonderful job with Cheryl Poppy. So thank you both. The next speaker that I have is a Vietnam Air Force veteran. He has served with dedication and distinction and became president and chairman of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall Committee. And the committee was responsible for bringing this to fruition. See, Ray Haig asked about it, and I'll be honest with you. We put a committee together. Joe Marshall walked out of the room, and we voted that he would be chairman and president. And at that time, Joe, could you come to the microphone? Come on. Take off that hat. Joe's hair was jet black when this committee started.
Oh, yeah.
Just telling you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. See, this is what happens when a community, its citizens, and the Commonwealth work for a common cause, this wall. And I have to be brief, but I've got a lot of stories, but I'm not going to tell you today. It's been 4 years in the planning, the fundraising, and the construction, but here it is, and we can be very proud. Actually, everybody here can be very proud of this monument, and it's going to be the, we'd like to think, a focal point for Fall River and definitely Bicentennial Park. People seem to be defined by their occupation. Well, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall Committee is made up of a bunch of occupations. We had a retired college president, in-country Vietnam veteran, a director of veteran services, the commander of the War Council, in-country Vietnam veteran, a financial planner, in-country Vietnam veteran, a 20-year city councilor, you can kind of guess who that is, 3 active, very active state representatives. They were very good with us. They were kind of carrying the message beyond other things. A CPA, a retired school principal, an attorney, Vietnam in-country veteran, retired district court judge, also a in-country Vietnam veteran, a 50-year bricklayer, a 30-year city inspector, a head administrative clerk for the local VSO, the president of the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 207. That's how the committee ended up. And I want to thank them for their hard work. I mean, I get a chance to speak, but none of this happens without all 16 of them. So I want to applaud them for that. Thank you. Thank you very much. But it's not about us. It's about the men and women enshrined on this wall. They're the real heroes. and the numbers change, but 58,489 names, 1,350 from Massachusetts, 211 from Rhode Island. The first casualty was from Massachusetts, Richard Fitzgibbons, very first panel, June of 1956. And 9 years later, his son was killed in Vietnam, and he's also listed on the wall. 39,996 names on the wall were, 39,996 names on the wall were just 22 years old or younger. 39,000. So you look at that, imagine 58,489 names, 39,996 were 22 years old or younger. I can't help but think about who these real people on the wall are, because they really were real people. Who they could have become, we'll never know, but we can honor them. It's the honor of those people and its families that left behind on this monument, and that's why it exists. These real people, these true heroes of the United States. With that, I truly want to thank the veterans and their families here today to share this tribute, long overdue and deserving. Let us not forget. And please remember that although the location of this wall is here in Fall River, the meaning and the spirit and the value of the wall is everyone's. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
I just think that if it wasn't for Ray's idea and Joe's tenacity, we wouldn't be here. So we have a special gift to give them.
Did we approve their families?
No, you didn't approve it, but you gave me a budget for the event. So
We're not giving their walking orders. It's a tradition in the service when someone's completed the mission and done it well that they're giving the baton of honor and appreciation. This one has the Vietnam symbol on the top. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Now can I sit down?
yes, now you can sit. Welcome to the podium a friend of mine, Massachusetts 9th District Congressman, Bill Keating. He is the senior member of both committees of Foreign Affairs and Armed Services. Welcome, Congressman Keating.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your work. And Joe, I remember 4 years ago talking to you about this idea. And Ray, thank you so much. You'd be happy, Ray, to know that my dad was a CB and my brother was in the Navy during Vietnam himself. And to my colleagues in government that are here, Mayor Coogan, representing the city, Jake Auchincloss, my colleague in Congress, and Senator Rodriguez, the dean of the legislative delegation, and all my colleagues and friends in state government that are here. What a pleasure to be here. You know, so much planning went into this, and the one thing that couldn't be planned was the weather. So God looked down on us and gave us the best day I think we had this year, a day that we can enjoy each other, and thank goodness for that. To all the veterans that are here, my deep gratitude, my deepest respect, and we're just honored to have all of you in our presence. You know, it was just yesterday that I was in Washington, and in an underground facility that's soundproof, where we get classified information called a SCIF, I walked out of there with one of my committee members after getting briefed on a matter, and walked down the sunken corridors as we were going up to the elevator to the ground floor. And, you know, there's something I had learned about him just a few days before. He's one of our newer congressmen. And I talked to him and I said, I hadn't realized you never had in your whole life a conversation with your father. I never realized that you ever knew your father. You see, his father's name is on that wall. I want to recognize and thank the Gold Star families that are here. You know, our gratitude for your family sacrifice. I come from a Gold Star family, too. You're just honored to have you here. So my colleague from Minnesota, Dean Phillips, I asked him, I said, I'm just so sorry in your life that you had such tragedy where you never got to know or talk to your father. And he told me that, indeed, he felt like he did. He said his father, who was killed in Vietnam, he was a captain in the Army, and he was killed in action. But he was a person that left tapes for him and a prolific letter writer. Interesting enough, this congressman's grandmother was Dear Abby, so I guess they probably, he knew a little bit about letters. But he told me how he pored over all those letters. And I said, we have this much in common, because I pored through the mound of letters of my uncle, who I had never met, to try and capture just who he was. He was my father's best friend as a brother, and those letters I treasured. But he also said those tapes that had his father's voice will be with him always. He carries them with him everywhere. And we know that this memorial has over 58,000 of those stories. And we also know that this is a unique memorial, one of a kind. This is not the typical Veterans Memorial. We see a person on a steed or artillery in the background and a crested soldier there. This is profound in its clarity and its emotion, because what is there are the names of the people that lost their lives for us. Not in any kind of rank order where the high military rank was a factor, and not on years of military service, but put together in order on the day that they lost their lives. So moving, so important. And I know in D.C., when you see the memorial sometimes and the light is right, you not only go in and look at the name, but you can see your own reflection, the face of your own reflection on that memorial. And it made me think. I could only hope the person whose names, whether it was husband, wife, whether it was a family member, any kind of relative, friend, classmate, member from each community, that I had only hoped that somehow they could see all of us looking at their name, paying respect, and having that face that we had reflected back on somehow cast into their soul. And I often wondered if they could speak to us from beyond that memorial, what they would say. I know they would say to all of us, please, take care of my brothers and sisters that I served with. Take care of the families that have lost loved ones. Take care of all the veterans that came before me and all those veterans that came after me. And I think they would even go further. I think they would tell us, please, don't let my sacrifice be in vain. Protect our country, protect our democracy. It's fragile. Our Constitution is instructive, but what holds us together as a country are our shared beliefs and values, things we hold dear to us. And they would ask us to take that responsibility as seriously as we could, not only helping veterans and people that have served our country, but also take the initiative for public service yourself. Take the initiative for community service yourself. Take the initiative to help someone in your neighborhood in need, a fellow American, and prove that this country is something special, because it is. We are the only country on this earth that's based on an idea. And indeed, for a very recent country in historical terms, we are the world's oldest democracy. So, as we gather here together and honor all those people that gave so much, in a war that sometimes, when people came back home, those Vietnam veterans didn't get the consideration and respect that they deserve. And I must say this, we've answered that call here in Fall River today, because about a half a century later, here we are, paying tribute right now to all of these people that gave so much for us, and we're showing the most important respect we can have at all, saying what you sacrifice still matters and will matter in the future. Your presence today indicates that. God bless you all, and thank you.
It was odd to hear the congressman speak about getting involved in public service when I look out and I see, even though they're not elected, we have two former mayors, Mayor Carlton Viveris, Mayor John Mitchell, and we have our longtime Senator, Tom Norton. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a newly elected Marine Corps captain and the United States 4th District Congressman from Massachusetts. And I practice Jake Aschenklaus. Didn't do it right? Oh, I've been practicing, Jake. Sure. When I look out and I see, even though they're not elected, we have
Auchincloss. Mayor Coogan, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Congressman Keating, Senator Rodericks, Representative Carol Fiola, and the Greater Fall River State Delegation, Gold Star families, Blue Star families, fellow veterans, and guests. Today, thanks to the dedication and the work of the Memorial Wall Committee, we're gathered here to honor the men and women who courageously fought in Vietnam and who did not return. Nearly 60,000 Americans lost their lives in that grueling conflict in Southeast Asia. On unfamiliar terrain, they endured some of the most ferocious fighting in American history. Those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines were not always honored as they should have been by their contemporaries, but today we pay them homage. The Fall River Memorial Wall provides a place for us to reflect on the gravity of their service, to center ourselves on the true meaning of the upcoming Memorial Day, and to make the phrase, "Thank you for your service," more than just a reflexive courtesy. The values we hold most dearly as a country, liberty, justice, and democracy, must ultimately be guaranteed by the willingness of citizens to risk their lives for their protection. To those who made the ultimate sacrifice, to the veterans who came before me and, unlike me, did not come home, I say to their loved ones that their country is grateful and their memory will live on, not only with their families, but in their nation's history. Semper Fidelis.
Okay, so the next speaker, I can pronounce the name very well, because she is a very good friend of the city of Fall River in numerous important endeavors, including this beautiful monument. And I am so delighted to have her here today. It is my honor to introduce you to the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Honorable Karen Polito.
I told you. Thank you so much, Linda. You're doing a wonderful job moving us right along here. I want to say to all of you here what an honor it is to be at Bicentennial Park in Fall River, Massachusetts. And I, first and foremost, want to say thank you to the Gold Star families, the Blue Star families, for the men and women who serve from this Commonwealth in places around the world to protect the freedom and the life that we love and cherish so much here in our country. I want to also recognize former Secretary Urena, who was so happy to see this day come. Secretary Poppy as well. And I want to thank my colleagues in government. It was about 2 years ago that I was invited to a very important meeting at Joe Marshall's office. And the one person missing from that office was Joe Marshall himself, because he was on a telephone. And he wanted to gather Representative Fiola, Representative Schmidt, and Representative Sylvia, and Senator Rodericks, and some members of the committee to impress upon the governor and our administration how important this project, this wall, would be to have here in Fall River to serve the New England region of our country. Now, I knew when I left that meeting that this was going to get done. There was no doubt in my mind that Joe Marshall and your leadership in Fall River love our veterans and our military families so much and knew that this was a part of Bicentennial Park that was missing. Now, while the Vietnam statewide memorial is in my hometown city of Worcester, this is a memorial that will serve people far and wide, as you can see from this audience today. I want to thank you all for coming here today. This wall is here for you and your families, for the next generation to understand the commitment, the service, the sacrifice, the pain, the disrespect that Vietnam veterans experienced when returning home. And to every one of you, Vietnam veteran, and your families, as hard as it is in your heart to recall upon those days that were so painful for you, I certainly hope that today warms your heart just a bit, knowing how much we love you, we care about you, and how important you are in the history of our Commonwealth and this country. I want to close with the word freedom, and I have to admit, today I feel a sense of freedom being here among all of you. This has been a very difficult year for everyone. I want to thank all of the first responders, all of our healthcare professionals, and all of you here, from Mayor Coogan, who's been on speed dial to me and me to him over the course of this past year, for your incredible work keeping the people of this community safe. Thanks to your hard work, each and every one of you, we now have 75% of eligible adults over 18 who have received at least one dose of the vaccine. And because of that, we're able to gather like this and come together and enjoy what we love so much for and about this country, and what the men and women and their names displayed on this park fought for. So I just want to say thank you for this tremendous gift, for the work of Joe and his committee, for making this possible for all of us for many, many years to come. It is now my pleasure to introduce a friend of our administration, Tom Lyons, who's not unknown to many of you, a Vietnam veteran, a Marine, and a member of our advisory group to serve veterans, and someone who has gone above and beyond to make sure that all veterans get the love and the support they need here in our Commonwealth. And on behalf of Governor Baker, he wishes to extend his greetings. He is in D.C. advocating for more resources for our Commonwealth, so Tom and I are here to represent our administration. And with that, I introduce Tom Lyons. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, the Gold Star families, elected officials, members of the committee that brought this memorial to Fall River. Governor Baker would love to be here today. Unfortunately, he is in D.C., and I'm honored that he asked me to pass along his remarks. A great writer once wrote that Vietnam was a war that asked everything of a few and nothing of most of America. I agree. By the time America figured this out, it was too late for many servicemen who came home weakened by the war and found nothing but indifference or scorn from their neighbors and fellow Americans. I stand with all of our veterans, servicemen and women, and especially those who served in Vietnam. They deserve our gratitude and our support. They deserve to be honored and remembered. Days like this, monuments like this, are about gratitude and remembrance. And our administration was honored to play a small part in making this happen. God bless you all for being here today. God bless our veterans. Our country called, and they answered the call. Thank you. I would like to close with a couple of personal thoughts. I've always been proud to say I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was always proud to wear the uniform of a United States Marine and proud of my service in Vietnam. It never would apologize for that service. I'd like to close with a quote that I think means a lot to me, and I think it should mean a lot to everyone here today. Poor is the nation that has no heroes. Shameful is the nation that forgets. Thank you for remembering, and welcome home, fellow Vietnam veterans.
I now would ask Lieutenant Governor Polito to go in the back where we have a frame that is covered in a black cloth. And if Brian Fox, the artist of this painting, if we could unveil it. And on behalf of the Vietnam Memorial Wall Committee, we would love to have this brought to the State House and displayed in the State House. If you could unveil it, Brian and Joe. It is a fantastic piece of artwork. The name of it is titled Never Forget. And if you look at it, I don't care where you stand, every veteran has his eyes on you. It's unbelievable. Our very own talented Brian Fox. Thank you, Brian. Okay, next on the agenda, join me in welcoming the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and this guy, I even know his middle name, Senator Michael J. Rodriguez. Or I could say Miguel Rodriguez.
We are kissing cousins. Yes, we are. You better get that name right, Linda. You lived with it for many years. Yeah, that's right. Good afternoon, everyone. Linda, to you and to Joe Marshall and to the amazing Vietnam Wall Committee that put all this together. You make us all so proud. This is absolutely beautiful. And I have the honor of introducing a couple of my Senate colleagues who are here today with us. But you know, in Massachusetts, we are very proud of the fact that we provide more for our veterans than any state in the country. None is even a close second. And through the leadership of the governor and lieutenant governor and his secretaries of Veterans Affairs, Cheryl Papio, and then former Secretary Francisco Urena, a good friend, we are proud of what we do and provide for our veterans. I am joined by my colleagues from the House, the amazing delegation, Representative Pat Haddad, Representative Carol Fiola, Representatives Paul Schmid, Representative Alan Sylvia. Already introduced was former State Senator Tom Norton. I know former State Representative Kevin Aguiar is also in the audience. Thank you all for being here and being part of such a wonderful community. And part of what makes it so easy to provide these services for our veterans are some of the people that I serve with every day in the Massachusetts State Senate, 3 of whom are here visiting today. First is Senator John J. Cronin. He serves the citizens of Worcester and Middlesex District, about an hour and a half away. Senator Cronin serves as the Senate Chair of the Joint Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government, Vice Chair of the Joint Committee on Tourism, Arts, and Cultural Development. Senator Cronin is also a captain in the United States Army. He served as a veteran advocate at the Legal Services Center of Harvard Law School in Boston. Senator Cronin graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point and was commissioned to the U.S. Army as an infantry officer. He served 2 tours of duty overseas in key leadership roles with an infantry company and is a combat veteran of the war in Afghanistan. Thank you for being here, Senator Cronin. Another good friend and colleague, Senator John Vilas. Senator Vilas serves as chair of the Joint Committee on Veteran and Foreign Affairs, vice chair of the Joint Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disabilities, and vice chair of the Joint Committee on Mental Health, Substance Abuse, and Recovery. Senator Vilas is a veteran of the United States Army. In 2012, while on active duty in Afghanistan, Senator Vilas participated in the war in Afghanistan's Operation Enduring Freedom and taught the role of law to tribal leaders to achieve peaceful solutions, overseeing all of NATO rule of law efforts throughout the Zabul province in the war-torn nation. While serving in the legislature as a state representative, he was deployed to Afghanistan for his second deployment. While there, he was promoted to the rank of major. He was a member of the U.S. Army's Peace and Reconciliation Team, the team responsible for the then beginning of the Afghan peace process. Thank you for joining us, Senator Vilas. And last but certainly not least, one of my closest and oldest friends in the legislature, Senator Mike Rush. Senator Rush serves as the Senate Majority Whip. He serves as the chair of the Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs and vice chair of the Committee on Veterans and Foreign Affairs. Senator Rush is an Iraqi war veteran. Senator Rush is a lieutenant commander in the United States Naval Reserves and has served 22 years in the reserves following active duty boot camp. Lieutenant Commander Rush is currently assigned to the Office of Naval Intelligence as an intelligence officer. Prior to serving as a commissioned officer, he worked on peacetime construction projects as an enlisted sailor with the Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 27, better known as the Seabees. While serving in the legislature, he was deployed to Iraq in support of Operation New Dawn. He served with the Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force, Arabian Peninsula, and was assigned to a U.S. Army Special Forces Military Transition Team working with Iraq Counterterrorism Services, the headquarter command for Iraq Special Operation Forces. As part of the military transition team, Lieutenant Rush worked to train, advise, and assist Iraqi counterterrorism officers. Thank you all for joining me in welcoming my great colleagues and friends here to the great city of Fall River. Thank you.
Just to quickly introduce, and I won't name them by names, but I have members of the City Council, members of the school committee, and our own Sheriff, Tom Hodgson. So thank them all for being here. Major General Gary Keefe, who is the Army National Guard Major General, he's currently assigned as the Adjutant General of the Massachusetts National Guards. His remarks today will be delivered by Brigadier General Mark Merlino.
salute you. Okay, I have my marching orders. We have a helicopter flying in to take the DVs away, so I got 1 minute. So time me. Okay, on behalf of Major General Keefe and the 8,500 soldiers and airmen of the Massachusetts National Guard, we want to thank you for this invitation and just to memorialize our veterans. We are located across the whole state and right here also in Fall River. Fall River, Mayor Coogan, Linda, Joe, you've done an amazing job here. You really knock it out of the park all the time. Thank you very much. This city is ingrained with great warriors who've served before us, like our Medal of Honor winner, Tom Hudner, who's from Fall River, who crashed his plane to save his wingmen, to many veterans we see in this wall. I want to really focus on the Vietnam vets right here, and I want to thank you. There's 3 things I want to point out: sacrifice, duty, and welcome home. Sacrifice. There was Private Wallace from Burlington, Massachusetts, 2 blocks from my home. When I joined the military to pay for school, I realized this was serious business. This was no joke. And if I was to become a leader, I needed to really train my soldiers for the jobs ahead of us. Duty. When I joined and I became an officer from UMass Amherst, ROTC, and I actually was up in Newburyport, I had 3 veterans from Vietnam: Marty Graney, Jimmy McPartland, and David Gustafson. One guy, Marty Graney, my platoon sergeant, he flew in a helicopter, he landed in Da Nang, he had to clear out all these trees and create a landing field. Jimmy McPartland was a tunnel rat who had a dangerous job to go into tunnels and clear them so we could actually find the enemy. And then Dave Gustafson worked for the 39th Combat Engineers and cleared out roads and airways and all that. Those folks, we listened to them, and the Vietnam veterans who filled our formations, the National Guard, you trained us to be successful in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, Desert Storm, and it was because of your lessons learned, you made us successful, and I didn't lose any of the folks in my formations, women and men. And the last thing is, I would like to all the Vietnam veterans, I want to welcome you home. If you could please stand up. I would like to us all publicly give you a round of applause. The Vietnam veterans of our service, you are the greatest generation. Your generation put a man on the moon. Your generation gave us the internet and these smartphones. Your generation really created all these startup businesses in Massachusetts. It was your generation, I believe, was the greatest nation. Thank you.
I was kidding him about a helicopter. You know, in planning this, I was looking for keynote speakers, guest speakers, etc. And Tom Lyons and Bruce Aldridge told me about Richard Neal. I spoke with this man on the phone so many times, and we emailed each other back and forth. He is simply amazing. And it was difficult for him to get here today. And I won't tell you why, but he did get here today. And he was born in Massachusetts. So he is a Massachusetts-born hero of the United States Marine Corps, 4-star general who served as an assistant commandant of the Marine Secretary American Corps. General Neal is a Vietnam veteran, a recipient of the Distinguished Service Medal, 2 Silver Stars, a Combat Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, and too many other medals of distinction for me to mention. But I have become friends with him. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome my friend, 4-star General Richard I. Neal, to the podium.
I didn't think I'd ever get up here after all these speakers. I don't know. I'm what a keynote speaker is, but I do know he's last, and everybody's covered all the ground I was going to talk about. So it's a wrap. Maybe I'm out of here. I don't know. A greeting to Lieutenant Governor Polito, to the Gold Star families and Blue Star families. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. Distinguished guests, members of Congress, both at the state level and at the federal level. And most importantly, Vietnam Veteran Memorial Committee, thanks for putting this all together. I'm just amazed at looking at this wall, that the time it took, the expense associated with it, the grit and the determination that made it happen is almost beyond the pale. And I think we ought to just recognize them one more time with an applause. I have to commend you all and the city of Fall River for this beautiful Veterans Memorial Bicentennial Park. The park itself is splendid. It's unbelievable to look at the Iwo Jima monument there, the wall here, the other monuments around. It's just amazing. Today I want to focus on two words, remembering and reflecting, because that's really what we're doing here today. On an occasion such as this, it's important that we remember those who have served and we reflect on the sacrifices they made, and to never forget what they did for us. Your Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall does that for sure, no doubt about it. Without a doubt in my mind, it was through your caring and giving spirit that this wall became a reality. A testimony to the people of Fall River, to Massachusetts, that you do care, and most importantly, you don't forget. The wall is really special to me. Truth be known, it took me quite a while to get the courage up to go visit it. Too many memories for sure. However, once I did, I found that it was real difficult to stay away. And I hope that's what happens to you folks to get a chance to visit this wall. Hopefully you don't have a name up there that is a relative or a friend, but if so, I know that it'll be compelling that you stay here and look at it day in and day out. One of the things of interest I think that is important for us to do is one of the speakers, one of the dozen speakers mentioned, is that we don't forget and that we do make sure that we recognize the people that served and those that sacrificed in the different wars this nation's had. Interestingly, there is no monument to World War I, but there's one being built right now, and it should be open pretty soon. It's not going to be on the mall. It's up in the Northwest District at Pershing Park, General Pershing Park, I should say. But it's going to be spectacular, I think. What I've seen already is just impressive. And we have to do that. You know why? 117,000 Americans died during World War I. 117,000. They deserve a monument, and they're going to have one. But it should. With that in mind, I thought I would take you on a short tour of the war memorials in D.C. You might wonder why. Quite simply because it will reinforce what you and I already know, that we as a nation do not forget those who have answered our country's call. We remember them, and Fall River citizens remember them. I live on Capitol Hill. It's a long story. I'm not going to tell you why I'm on Capitol Hill, but I live on Capitol Hill, 2 blocks from the Capitol. I actually leave my house, I take a left, go up 150 yards, I guess, take another left, and I'm looking at the Capitol building less than 2 blocks from my house. I walk around the Capitol, a little more difficult now after 6th January, and I get down on the Mall, and usually I'll jog there down to the Lincoln Memorial. And 9 times out of 10, while I reach the Lincoln, I'll take the time to go over to the wall and visit with some friends. Behind the Washington Monument, you come to the World War II Monument, one of the newest on the Mall. It's impressive. 2 great arches representing the Atlantic and Pacific theaters of war, 56 columns, one for each of the 56 columns. for each of the 48 states. At that time, Hawaii and Alaska were not states, and 8 territories that participated in the war. In the center of the monument is a fountain and a pool. But the most riveting thing there is the Freedom Wall. There you'll find 4,048 gold stars. Each one of those gold stars represents 100 Americans that lost their lives during World War II. 4,048, 100, you can do the math. It's sobering to say the least, reinforcing the claim that freedom is not free. Walking on the south side of the reflecting pool towards the Lincoln Monument, you come to the Korean War Memorial. Here you come upon 19 lifelike statues representing a squad on patrol. Each is about 7 feet tall, consisting of 14 soldiers, 3 Marines, 1 Air Force Forward Air Controller, and 1 Navy corpsman. Known as the Forgotten War, this monument is truly well done, recognizing the over 53,000 Americans that we lost in that war. Significantly, there is action taking place that, in fact, they may, erect a portion to that wall where they will recite the names of all of those that were lost during the Korean War. Crossing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, we arrive at the Vietnam Wall. Known as the Wall, here inscribed on 142 black panels are the 58,000 names of those who made the ultimate sacrifice during that war. Significantly, there's no rank, there's no service noted, just the names arranged chronologically by the date of death. It's stated that this is the most visited memorial in Washington. I think it is because of its simplicity. Just a black wall with names, no fountains, no pools, no columns, no statues, just names, just the same as your wall here. Some call it the human wall. Those names make it personal and make it real. After all, those were real people, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, sisters and brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. They, like you and I, had dreams, ambitions, and hopes that were never realized. Interestingly, as you approach each panel in D.C., your name is reflected, your image is reflected on the name, which really kind of brings you close to the person that you're looking at. It's probably the same right here now, the way the sun is setting up over us. It's special. But again, you folks from Fall River, you know all of that. Unlike World War II and more recently Desert Storm, with their parades and excitement for returning veterans, we, you and I, merely came back and continued our lives as best we could. We came home carrying the reputation and the memory of those who had fallen. It was part of the bargain we all made with each other, to remember and to never forget. I often visit the wall in D.C., as I mentioned, when I do my jogging. And I always spend a few minutes in front of panel 17E, right over here. There, beginning on row 70, are 15 names of Marines that died on 30 and 31 March 1967. I was with them. I knew 7 of them as friends. I know them all as I know no other. That is why the wall is so special to me, not only in D.C., but here. I think of a young man named John Bobo, a young lieutenant who was the company executive officer and weapons platoon commander with India 3-9, of which I was attached as the Fort Observer. Although seriously wounded, having the bottom of his leg blown off, he refused to be moved to the rear and instead had the corpsman lean him against a tree, where he actually took the stump of his leg and pushed it into the dirt to curtail the bleeding, and from there provided covering fire so his Marines could move to alternate fighting positions. He died saving his Marines. For those actions, he was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Interesting story. While standing in front of panel 17E one early morning, a little elderly lady, sort of the grandmother type, she kind of got into my space. Looking down, I saw that she was one of the volunteers at the wall. I said, "Can I help you, ma'am?" And she said, "Yes, I was looking for John Bobo." I almost fell over. She explained that someone had requested the etching of his name on the website that's available for any and everybody. I showed her his name and I told her that he had won the Medal of Honor. She checked and confirmed my comment. As unreal as that happening, it confirmed in my mind that we Americans don't forget, that we remember. Further on down the wall is a name named Jack Laurinaitis from Pennsylvania. Jack was what we would call a liberty risk. Tough to keep him out of trouble. I think he made corporal 2 or 3 times. And I'm sure some of you out there can probably own up to doing the same thing. But he was a warrior. He had already won the Silver Star. During this horrific battle that I'm talking about, where John Bobo had died, he again showed great courage, taking the fight to the enemy. He moved out through the battlefield and returned with some of his wounded comrades and suffered a deadly wound. For that, he was awarded the Navy Cross. I could go on, as there were a long list of heroes that day. I hope you can see why being here and participating in this ceremony, this dedication ceremony, is so special to me. It gives me, and I hope each of you, the time to remember and to reflect upon the 58,000 names behind me. Americans did, and they sacrificed for us. I hope, as you understand, it's my solemn obligation to carry their memory with me till the day I die. It's part of the unspoken bargain we all made with each other to remember such good men. The people of Fall River have lived up to the bargain. You have done it in an extraordinary way with the building and dedication of this wall. And far more than that, with the Iwo Jima Monument and the other things. Obviously, you take remembering very important, and you take it to heart. Today's ceremony is this community's visible commitment by saying loud and clear, welcome home and thank you to those men and women who answered our nation's call and sacrificed in Vietnam. Some might wonder why we build these monuments, all of the ones I talked about down on the National Mall and the ones here. Why you built this Bicentennial Park, and why this wall? Well, quite simply, because you care, because you do not forget, you remember, because you truly understand the sacrifices that were made, and because you're all from Fall River. Today, we recognize and reflect upon what each did in service to his country. There are the 1,322 Massachusetts names, including 23 from Fall River. Truly, by building this wall, the residents of Fall River have not forgotten and today's ceremony and welcome home for their 23 fallen heroes. In 1980, there was a Veterans Affairs survey recorded 90% of combat veterans, Vietnam veterans, took pride in their service. Like Tom Lyons said, they were not and are not embarrassed or apologetic. Rather, they were proud to have answered their country's call. But you know, this should not be a surprise to you folks. You and I have always felt the obligation and responsibility to serve. We always have and we always will, regardless of time or place. This dedication, your wall, is one of the finest examples of the attitude and commitment of Massachusetts people, and more specifically, the Fall River people today. I thank you for the privilege of being here today and the honor to speak to you. Thank you very much. Semper Fidelis.
So when you're trying to line up speakers, you kind of call people and try to convince them that this is a great thing. Well, our guest speaker next is born in Fall River. And ironically, as we were talking, he told me where he was born on New Boston Road and who lived next door to him, who happened to be Harvey Reback, the doctor that saved my life from an aneurysm. So I knew right away I'd like him. If he was friends with Harvey, he was a friend of mine. But he is a former correspondent for CBS News, providing coverage in Vietnam. He was appointed to the United States of America Veteran War Commemoration Commission, which was created by former President Barack Obama to honor veterans. He is a Secretary of Defense Medal winner for outstanding public service, a recipient of the Overseas Press Club of America Award winner. He is currently working on a documentary, Medevac. It's a television documentary that will be aired on PBS and on Amazon. And if you go to YouTube and put in Morton Dean, you'll see where people that he went out on Medevac years later, 40, 50 years later, he went back and found the injured men and the pilots and brought them all together. So the injured men knew who the pilot was, and the pilot got to meet the person they saved. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fall River's native and BMC Durfee graduate, Mr. Morton Dubitsky Dean.
Yes, you do. Linda just said, after I said, well done, she said, could I be a correspondent then? Everybody wants to be on television, Linda. I'm honored to be here today, honored to be back in my hometown of Fall River, honored to be in your company, and especially honored to be in the company of the 58,289 members of our country's armed forces whose names are inscribed on this memorial. I am here, we are all here, to say that their names are not only inscribed on this wall, but they are etched in our hearts. In January 1971, on a bright, sunny, blood-drenched morning in Vietnam, my cameraman and I hitched a ride on a medevac. The medevac mission flown from a dusty hilltop by the name of Hawk Hill, or Hill 29. Perhaps a number of you guys have served there. We were flying out on 236 dustoff to rescue 3 wounded Americal infantrymen from an enemy-infested rice paddy. One of those was a kid from Glen Burnie, Maryland. His name was Brian Fahili. We would meet again just a few years ago after his bullet-punctuated rescue, 45 years after, and it was quite a union. I interviewed him for a documentary I was doing for PBS that was mentioned by Linda, American Medevac. And shortly after my cameraman and I arrived at the Fahili home, he told us he had to go somewhere. And he said, it won't take long, but you can follow me in your car. But once we get there, I need some time alone. His destination was a nearby Vietnam memorial containing the names of Maryland's war dead. The 1,046 names were listed on that wall. I watched as Brian walked along the wall, nodding, gesturing, his lips moving as if he were having a conversation with someone. And he was. Later, he told me that he went to that wall every day, every single day. I just go, he said, just to let them know that they're not forgotten. To let them know they're not forgotten. And isn't that why all of us are here today? Why this wall is here? So that these men and women, each of the 58,289, will know that they are not forgotten. They will know that we are a part of them, and they will forever be a part of us. Also, that we love them. Love them? Yes, love them. I first heard that feeling expressed in this kind of a context a few years ago on a Veterans Day. I had watched a parade as it moved along a small town New England main street. The guest of honor there was Captain Paul Buca, a U.S. Army vet, 101st Airborne, a recipient of the Medal of Honor. And after the parade, we walked to a nearby village green where a crowd assembled to hear Paul speak. He opened his remarks by saying that he was very impressed that as the parade walked by, people on the sidewalk were shouting, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service." But then he said, "You know what we really want to hear? We want to hear that you love us." There was a pause, and suddenly one voice in the crowd of about 400 people cried out, "We love you." And then somebody else cried out, "We love you." He choked up, tears streaming down his face, and I think everybody in the crowd choked up. But I have to admit, I was kind of stunned when I heard Paul Buca say something about the word love. He's a tough guy. He's a combat vet, a Medal of Honor recipient, a couple of Purple Hearts, went to West Point, a world-class athlete. And yet he was talking about the word love. I thought about it for a while after the event, and then it kind of got to me. Sure, we ought to be saying, "We love you." Those of us who never wore the uniform ought to be saying to all of you who wore the uniform that we love you. It doesn't matter what war you served in or when or where you served. You carried a special burden for all of us. And the word love is good, but even that is an understatement. This wall definitely conveys that message to those who were killed in action, but my understanding of this wall is that the message it conveys is much broader than that and is meant to embrace each and every one of you who wore and are wearing the uniform of the United States of America, no matter where or when you served or are serving. All of you. During my CBS News assignment in Vietnam, I got to meet and got to know a number of those whose names are displayed on this memorial. I was with them literally, some of them, in the final hours or final minutes of their young lives. If you look at the panel, 5W, line 134, you'll be introduced to one of them, Stephen Mayo Hiscock, nicknamed Skipper. His sister Loy lives in Georgia. When I came back from the war, they reached out to me, and we became very, very tight friends, and we still are. This past week, I told her about what you've done here in Fall River. In an email to me, she responded. She responded not only to me, but to each and every one of you. She said, "For our family, the wall is a place to heal, to honor my brother, my children's uncle, a place where they can see and touch his name and do a rubbing to keep forever. My brother, I feel, has touched my children, and they have touched his life because of this wall." So that's what you have all done here in Fall River. You've done it not only for our neighbors and friends who have names on this wall, names they recognize and mourn, but it also has a very special meaning to the Hiscock family in Georgia and to American families all over this country. This is not a local monument. This is an American monument. The original wall in our nation's capital was the brainchild of a wounded Vietnam War veteran, Jan Scruggs. It was his idea. He fought hard for it. He raised the money for it. He wanted to get it done no matter what the opposition was, and there was opposition. Jan Scruggs is beloved by Vietnam veterans and their families all across America. He's a really good guy, and Mary and I know him well, and we do indeed love him. He knew this event was going to take place because he had interviewed Joe Marshall on Scruggs' Vietnam website just a couple of weeks ago. And when I talked to Scruggs, he said, "You ought to get involved in this." And I said, "Well, we'll see." And then the other day, he sent me the following message. The writer Herman Wouk once wrote that the beginning of the end of war is in remembrance. For this reason, this day in Fall River is significant, he said. This memorial shows that the people of Fall River care about and remember those who served, including those who gave their lives in this lengthy Vietnam War. I am pleased to send you my best wishes and appreciation. And he signed it, Jan C. Scruggs. So I want to thank you for having me here, a lowly reporter. I am so honored to be here with you. And you do know, you have to know, you must know that you've done such a good thing here. Thank you.
Mr. Dubitsky Dean was kind enough to bring a lot of the medals that were given as medals of distinction for Vietnam veterans to let you know how much you were appreciated. He will have them under the tent. He'll give it to you, shake your hand, and maybe we'll have help from other military personnel here so that you all get one. Please don't leave without one. Reciting his own original work, a poem from his heart and memory of his time in Vietnam, Sergeant William J. Damaris, United States Marine Corps veteran, and the senior vice commander of the Fall River War Council. But before I give him the microphone, I would like to extend my own personal thanks to my friend Bill, who has spent hours helping me with this. Sometimes we argue like a married couple, but I could not do this alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And I know we've announced a lot of people. I just want to say thank you to my commander, Robert Viner from the War Council, and all the veteran groups that participated, and many of them being Vietnam veterans. The poem I'm going to read to you today is picture yourself like you are today visiting the wall for the first time. And it was my reflections after visiting the wall with a bunch of my friends who were in Vietnam on a bus trip from the VA hospital. I will read it to you now. Our hair was thin and balding, our stomachs heavy and round. Some of us limped and some of us wheezed as our feet hit the ground. We moved forward slowly at first, as if on a sweep for mines, each of us making the journey to a moment back in time. Then the wall rose before us, black marbled end to end, and each of us began looking, searching for a brother, for a friend. Our emotions filled with memories from those days so long ago, of firefights and brothers in arms, most we didn't know. Then they spoke to us, our brothers etched in stone. They told us to be proud, stand tall, and welcome home. They said, together we swore an oath to serve. It did not hesitate or ask why. All of us did our duty, knowing full well we could die. And now we Vietnam veterans, the wall's forever chiseled names, encourage you to live your lives without regret or shame. We were killed in action in Nam's jungles long ago, but we will always walk beside you wherever you may go. Be proud you serve with honor, and don't hesitate to say, You answered America's call to arms. You did not run away. And to America, we have but one request. May this granite wall remind you, Vietnam veterans gave their very best. Thank you.
Very touching, isn't it? And those pins are from the Pentagon, so make sure my veterans get one before they leave here. Post colors. The Benediction by Reverend Andy Stinson from the First Congregational Church. They're going to finish.
Late on a crisp day on the November 13th, 39 years ago, Navy chaplain and Vietnam veteran Rabbi Arnold Resnikoff rose to offer the closing prayer on the original wall in Washington, D.C. He quoted these words from the prophet Jeremiah to capture his experience of the war, of his fellow warriors, and the entire nation in its pain and anguish. Jeremiah said 2,600 years ago, he quoted 39 years ago, and I call upon them here today. These words, "Why have you been smitten? And then for us there was no healing. We looked for peace and there was no good. We looked for a time of healing, and behold, we found terror." Creator of all that is and will be, the Lord of spirits of generations past and to come, let our words and our blessings and tears this day help heal the terror of our warriors of nation. Let this monument and the names upon it stand as a sign we will work to do the healing in your sight. We will do the work of peace in your good time, and to commit again to the true and good and whole of the time of healing we seek. God, grant your spirit to dwell on us and this place, as your light shines upon all here and all who will visit this place in the days to come. Grant the presence of your glory in this place to heal the long wounds of war and cast away all shadows of terror. Help us ease the pain and loss of these names so that we may always know them only as sons and daughters of glory, so that all who come here may be found a balm of healing and see the witness of courage, and that together we and them and all who have gone before may create a nation where we see your face in its reflection. We pray this in the name of all that is holy. Amen.
Please be seated. The 215th Army National Guard Drum and Bugle Corps will play taps, and we will have White Doves released by J Damaris, so if you'd look towards the wall. Please lower your hearing aids if you have them. We're having a 21 gun salute by the howitzers to my right, behind you. Come on, Francisco, come on. Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night.
From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with fall. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
I hope that you all enjoyed our dedication. I hope that we made all of our Vietnam veterans proud in trying to put together a dedication that would absolutely honor you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Yeah.